and welcome back to another episode of the Jordenspeaks podcast. Hi, with your host, Jordan. Welcome back, guys. This is episode 3. If you haven't caught the last 2 episodes, you guys already know that I plug this podcast before we even get into all of the descriptions and me outlining who I am. So let me just plug this podcast first. Go to my social media, follow me. Everywhere is at Jordenspeaks, and you'll get all the updates about my episodes. You'll get the updates about the episode 1 and episode 2, and you'll be informed about when all the new episodes are dropping. Okay, so check me out on Twitter. Where else do I live? Instagram and YouTube for now. I still haven't tackled Twitter or X. I'm never going to be able to call Twitter X. I'm just going to put it out there. But TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube is where you're going to find me, okay? And you're going to find all my episodes 1 and 2 there. So please go and check this out. And who is it speaking to you? Who is the person on your screen, or who is it that you can hear through your headphones? It is me, Jordan. Obviously, the title of the podcast gives it away. And the reason why I created this podcast was just to have a space really to talk to you guys about the things that have gone on during the week, ask you guys some questions, and then give a bit of advice at the end, some Jordenspeaks advice, because I like to give advice. And where that comes from really is my career. Over my career, I have worked with hundreds of families going through really difficult times. And I've just realized that pretty much all of the women I've ever worked with have been so fed up. So now I am a life coach for women, and I like to give advice where I can. So I'll be doing that during this podcast. So thanks for joining me again for episode 3. And let's jump into this week's episode. So you guys know by now that I love a Am I the Arsehole on Reddit. So I will come with a Am I the Arsehole scenario pretty much every episode, to kick off the episode, just to, ease us into this week's episode. And I have found a good one. To be honest, actually, I found a good few. So it was actually quite hard today to choose which one to speak about, but let's get into it. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that she's entitled and has it too easy? Let's go. This person says, long time lurker here. I, male, 48, and my wife, Anne, 47, live by ourselves. Our kids have both moved out, so they're empty nesters. I'm the breadwinner and Anne the stay-at-home mum. Now she's a housewife after our youngest moved out last year. Okay. What's changed is that she says she's owed for raising our kids and taking care of the household. She wants more personal time, less work around the house, and so I've basically taken over almost all the housework, cooking 3 meals, cleaning the house. I'm still working a full-time job, and I never slacked on chores that I did, such as gardening, hard lifting, etc., and I was never an absent father. Let's pause right here, because it seems to me that this couple never had a discussion about what it was going to be like for when their children flew the nest. So it sounds like this is a bit of a transition, which isn't going very smoothly, but let's see. I bore with it for the past year, but she's gotten more abusive, outright berating me in front of the kids when they visit that I'm only good for my strength and don't think about the household at all, while she is doing less of the household work. It's gotten to the point that I just want to relax in the car for a good solid minute because I only know there's a long list of things to do. The use of the words abusive and what did she say? Outright berating sounds like this couple is stressed. Woo! It sounds like this couple is so stressed. Okay. Last night, she went out with her friends while I slept early for work. This morning, I looked for the car keys for over 30 minutes, which were not in the drawer we always put them in. I woke her up to ask where she put them, and she just grumbled at me to find them myself before going back to sleep. I ended up finding it in her handbag and got to work late. Thing is, these things seem so small, but they're not. And it's something about being considerate. So knowing where things are, house keys, the remote to change the channel, where your phone is, these small things can be so big. they can be such massive issues when there's an underlying current of unspoken conflict, which is clearly what's going on here. But let me try and get to the bottom of this because, yeah. I got home today to her screaming at me for invading her privacy by going through her handbag. Okay, I tried to tell her that she told me to find them myself, but she kept cutting me off, saying I should have known better than to dig through her personal belongings. That she has rights and I should respect them, and to wait for her to wake before getting her to find the keys herself. The part about she has rights sounds to me like this mother has been holding on. I think we know her name actually. Anne has maybe been holding on to some deep-seated feelings and resentment for a while. And now that the youngest child has gone, it sounds like a lot has come to the surface. Maybe she hasn't felt appreciated. Maybe she has felt like not adequately supported and that she's been used, because to say to your husband, I have rights, would make me feel like somehow, somewhere along the line, you've been oppressed. But okay. It was when she said she didn't care if I was late to work that I lost it. That's the part that he's upset about. Not the part where your wife screams at you that I have rights, but the part about him being late to work. Okay. Her exact line was, "It's not like we're needing that stupid money anymore." I yelled back at her, "Ooh, I wonder if she resents how much he works. I wonder if that's the resentment." Anyway, I yelled back at her that she was entitled and selfish, and that the only reason she's able to enjoy her current time is because of my stupid money. Okay, that she's been having it far too easy the past year, and if she wanted to see what she's owed, she can go back to either working or doing all the chores she's dumped on me. Anne was shell-shocked that I yelled back at her. The rest of the night was quiet, and she locked herself in our bedroom and hasn't come out. I've called our kids and told them what happened. Why? Why? The kids have left the house. Why are you going to involve your kids in your drama? And this is what parents do all the time. Your kids are there trying to live their life. Why are you calling them after you've had a conflict to tell them what's happened? Why have you done that? Resolve the matter with your wife. The children were not even there. Why are we involving them? My daughter agrees with me, but son says that I may have been too harsh to call her entitled, and implied that I undermined her efforts all those years as a stay-at-home mum. See? This is what's going on. The son has been seeing what's been going on as with his mum and dad for years, and has now said, Dad, you have undermined her efforts all those years as a stay-at-home mum. The daughter, interesting, doesn't agree, but it's interesting that the son agrees with the mum. They're going to take turns calling Anne. But I now wonder if I may have been overboard with yelling at her about taking it too easy. Daughter has suggested couples therapy. It sounds like these children, oh my gosh, usually are more mature than the parents. Daughter has suggested couple therapy and said that she's going to suggest it to Anne as well. I'm more than willing to do so, as today's encounter made me reflect that I'm getting extremely tired and weary of this life. I just think that couples, when they're going through transitions, need to have some open dialogue with each other. I think this couple have focused on the children, focused on running a functional household, and now the children are gone and they're having to settle into a new normal of living in a house where the children are not there. Now they're butting heads. Now they're having to communicate with each other about something outside of the children. And we see this happen a lot. This dynamic happens a lot because you've spent your life dedicated to looking after other people, and now they're gone. You have to start focusing on your relationship. And here comes the issues that arise to the surface. They are rising to the surface. As I said before, the son confirmed with me, this mother, it sounds like Anne, because we know her name, has probably felt very underappreciated. The son says undermined for a long period of time, and maybe, probably wrongly, has waited for the children to leave and has leaned back and said, I'm not doing the things that I used to do. I am taking my time back. What's that phrase? Claiming my time. She's claiming her time. Now, which is fine. I understand that. And I appreciate, if I was a stay-at-home mom and somebody had been undermining me for years, it sounds like that's what the son is saying, then I would want to claim my time back. But I would have to have a conversation with my person, my husband in this matter, to explain that's what I'm doing. Because it seems like maybe it's just happened and he hasn't understood that that's how she's felt and that's why she's behaving the way she's behaving. It seems that that's what seems to be happening. And it seems like he, rather than him asking her what's going on, it sounds like he's nagging at her, which actually means like there's not going to be any helpful conversation at all. There's a reason why your partner has changed behavior. There's a reason why. And it sounds like the resentment has come to the surface. It's interesting that the daughter agrees with him. And I wonder if that was his first point of call, or if that was the reason why he got the children involved in this conversation to ensure that there would be some agreement with him. The daughter is 100% right. Couples therapy. I am an advocate for all therapy. Couples therapy, individual therapy, siblings therapy, whatever therapy there's available. I think it's good. They should have maybe thought about therapy before the children left, actually, to help them manage this transition. But it seems to me that the therapy should help them to explore this. Am I the arsehole? I don't think he's an arsehole. I think he is clueless. And that's not the same as being an arsehole. You can be clueless and not an arsehole. I think he's clueless. I think there needs to be some honest conversation with a couple's therapist. And I think this couple could work through this because they've been through a big transition and that's not easy for anybody. So no, husband, you are not the arsehole, but you are clueless. Do you guys agree? Let me know. Sorry, my top always rides up. This is all the big-breasted ladies, and I'm sure there's some of you who followed me. We're going to have an episode where we talk to each other because I struggle. Anyway, let me just make sure my laptop doesn't fall. This part of the podcast is called The Jordenspeaks About, and this is where I come to you to talk about what's been going on with me and just to reflect on something that I've maybe experienced, and hopefully you guys can learn something from it or take some experience away from my experience. So between this time and the last podcast that you guys would have listened to, I'm a year older. I've celebrated a birthday. It was great. I went to Milan with an amazing group of women, all wonderful experience. Milan, how can I describe Milan? Milan is like a designer, rich playground with great history and landmarks. That's what I can say. It was good. I enjoyed. Oh, and a brilliant spa. You guys know the spa I'm talking about. It's the one that everyone's been going on about on social media. QC Tomo Milano. Wonderful. I'd recommend it. I don't even know why I'm plugging it because I want to go back to this spa without everyone going, but I just feel like I have to say how good it was. Anyway, let me not even boast about that. The part I want to get to is this. So there was a massive storm above the UK when me and my group were on our way back to the UK, to the point where the pilot couldn't land the plane. We had to do an emergency landing somewhere else. It was crazy, but it just meant that we had to end up going back to Milan overnight and we had to sort out flights in the morning. This is the part I want to get to. I feel like I had to give you the background, but this is the part I want to get to. While two of my friends ingeniously thought they would call the airline and managed to book onto the next flight very easily because the people in the airport were not helping us. So when we found this out, we were like, okay, cool. And we were telling the other people in the group who we had come with what to do. However, as we were telling other people in our group what to do, we were also telling other passengers who were around us and panicking as well what to do in order to get onto the next flight. bearing in mind the flight clearly like has restricted numbers. It's a flight. It's a little plane. So there's going to be restricted numbers. So when I've realized what's going on, I'm like, hold on, guys, like, let us sort ourselves out, because we need to make sure we all get home. Like, by all means, we can help other people, but let us just sort ourselves out. The lesson I would like to talk about today is we need to pay ourselves first. Put ourselves first. And I wrote a few notes about this because it was such an interesting situation. And I don't know how to describe it, but it was so interesting to see the dynamic. And I just thought, women are so selfless. Women are so selfless, especially Black women, because we will help everyone first before we have helped ourselves. Why? Take care of, I don't know what this episode is going to be called. Take care of yourself first, pay yourself first, help yourself first. One of those three or all of those three is going to be what this title is called, because it just was such a clear example to me of the fact that women will be helping everybody. We were the group that I had, a beautiful group of women who are natural carers, natural helpers, were there helping everybody book their flight. These times, have you booked your flight? Have you sorted yourself out? What is it they say on the plane? Like, if the air mask thing drops down, put your air mask on yourself first and then help your neighbor. No, not Black women. They will be suffocating in the air while they're helping their neighbors around them to put on the mask. Why? Sometimes you have to look after yourself first. So I got a bit annoyed with my group and I was like, no, stop giving all of these other 10, 20, 30 other passengers the number that we had figured out. Like, no one else had figured it out yet. Let us sort out our flight first. Like, let us sort out our flights first, and then once we're sorted, let's help everybody else. No, we couldn't do it. Thankfully, by the grace of God, we all managed, bar one who sorted herself out. We all managed to get on the flight. But at one point, it was a bit touch and go as to whether there was going to be spaces or whether we were even going to be able to get on the flight, because we were helping other people. And when I say helping, I'm talking about like my phone's getting passed around. Someone else is over there assisting, a mother and children to get on the flight, considering giving up her flight for them. Someone else is over there trying to help translate English for some other people who didn't have a clue as to what was going on. Her flight wasn't booked. It was just, I was like, oh, we do this naturally. But it also raised some questions for me. One, if the shoe was on the other foot, would these same people who we've helped help us? Would they? That's something to think about. That is something to think about. Now, again, I've said, as a woman or the Black woman, are we helped as easily as others? I don't think we are. I don't think we elicit help the same way other people do. So my view on that is that maybe we wouldn't have been helped. We definitely weren't being helped by the staff in the airport. But to be fair, they were not helping anybody. They were done with us. They weren't helping anybody. But the other passengers on our flight, would they have helped us the same way we had helped them? The jury is out on that one. The jury is out on that one. The other note I made to myself was, is it selfish? The idea of putting yourself first, is it selfish? And that's something I've had to grapple with. But ultimately, how can it be selfish to help yourself first when you have looked after yourself and your cup is full, you can then pour into other people? And I think that's where a lot of my frustration came from in the moment, because I was like, how can we be helping other people to get on this flight if we are not sure that our group have secured flights themselves? Like, what kind of empty cup are we pouring from if that is the case? And I think I was definitely heard by a few of my like my team who I was with, my group, who were like, okay, cool, like let us go and make sure that everybody from our group is sorted out first, because this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. The question also is, do you see how this whole situation has really right? It's really got me thinking. The question also is, what would the world look like if women universally poured into themselves? What would the world look like if women had not been conditioned and socialized to be selfless? Have you ever thought about that? Because I think the world would be a very, very different place. So if women operated on the basis that I'm going to fill up my cup first and then I will help other people, what would the world look like? Let me tell you what my dystopian idea of what the world would look like. It would look like no overtime. It would look like the majority of teachers are women, majority of care workers, majority of nurses are women. It would look like the shift ending and people going home. Bye. I'm out of here. I've had a full day. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go and pour into my cup. Peace and deuces. It would look like it would look like no one going above and beyond, because I think women naturally go above and beyond, and I think the world functions on the kindness and selflessness of women. The world would not be a nice place. I don't think it would be a nice place. I don't think it would be a great place. But I also think that we need to find a balance as women that we can, yes, pour into other people, but we must pour into ourselves first. We must look after ourselves first. Otherwise, what happens is that we burn out and then we're no good to anybody. We are no good to anybody. We become tired, exhausted, depressed. We're not able to function. And who then can look after us if we have been the ones looking after everybody else? It was such an eye-opener to me to see just the natural helping nature of women helping other people before they've even helped themselves. And I love my friend, I love my group, and I love them for it. But I also was like, we need to also focus on ourselves more. Like, it was such an eye-opener. It was such an interesting experience. We all got home safely, thankfully. Most of the people who, not most, every single person who we helped book their flight got home safely. Bless them. There was a few guys who were like, like when we got on the flight, we're like, oh, thank you guys so much. And, like there was a couple of people who were like, thank you. There was a few who did not say thank you. I will bring to your attention. There was a few who I don't think said thank you. They took the advice and ran off to go and sort themselves out, because you know why? Because they're pouring into their cups. It's not always reciprocated when you help others. Another reason why you need to put yourself forward and fill up your cup, because others will not fill it up for you. But putting them aside, it was a great experience, but an eye-opening experience. So let the lesson be, pour into yourself first, look after yourself first, pay into yourself first, and then you will have then you will be able to pour into others the way in which you want to pour into them. The problem is when you're pouring, and you haven't even sorted yourself out. That is an issue. And I saw that firsthand over the weekend. So take from that what you will. And that is it for this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've taken away like a little bit of what I was trying. I ramble on at times. I hope you enjoyed my rambling. If you did enjoy my episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Jordenspeaks. Also follow me at Jordenspeaks on TikTok and on Instagram, where you will get updates about these my podcast, and you will also see some of my content. Comment below about anything that you agree with or don't agree with. Like, we can have chats in the comments. Guys, thank you for supporting me. I love that you tune in every week to my podcast, and I shall see you for next week's episode. Take care.